Have you ever wondered how someone could escape a life they never chose? A life built to trap them completely? How could slaves free themselves when every path seemed blocked, every gate locked, every face around them untrustworthy? In the next few minutes, you'll find out just how. Some find freedom in secret networks. Imagine a knock at night, soft but deliberate, and the terror and hope mixing in your chest as you decide whether to answer. The smell of damp earth fills the small cellar where you hide, along with the faint warmth of a fire someone else has started. Blankets scratch against your skin, but the roughness feels comforting. You hear whispers overhead, footsteps shifting, the world pressing in from every direction. Yet this hidden place, these people willing to risk their lives for yours, become a corridor toward liberation. You follow coded messages sewn into quilts, lanterns hung just so, footsteps that echo through towns as signals. Every small movement matters, every breath matters, every step could be the one that carries you closer to a life that is yours, not taken. Then there are the daring, nearly unbelievable methods. Picture yourself in the dark, stuffed into a wooden crate no larger than a coffin. You barely fit. Every jolt of the crate threatens to crush you. The air is hot and thick. Your chest rises and falls with difficulty. Every sound, boards scrape, horses trotting, the distant murmur of men unaware of your presence, makes your heart pound. But you hold still, because this crate is your vessel to freedom. You are Henry Box Brown, sending yourself from Richmond to Philadelphia. Hours pass, your muscles cramp, sweat and fear mingle, and still you remain silent, trusting that the network outside will carry you to life. You imagine opening the lid and stepping into a world where your body is finally your own, and it feels almost miraculous that such a thing could even be attempted. Some turn freedom into a performance. You become someone else entirely. Your skin, your posture, the way you speak, all tools in a delicate disguise. You are Ellen Craft, passing as a white man while your husband follows as your servant. The sun hits your face, and you hold yourself tall, every movement calculated. The carriage jolts, and you feel the earth shift beneath you, the horses clopping in rhythm with your racing heart. Every glance from a stranger carries the weight of discovery, every second an exercise in silence, composure, and nerves stretched taut. You are playing a role that must never falter, because in this moment, acting perfectly is the only way to survive, and to reach the life you've been promised in your mind for so long. Others manipulate the system with patience. You are trusted more than you should be, given tasks no one else can handle. You move across the property, delivering messages, running errands, learning schedules. You memorize patrol routes, routines, the small mistakes of the people who think they control you. Each favor, each extra errand becomes leverage. You stash coins you've earned or beg to keep, planning, calculating, weighing risk against reward. Every movement is measured, every word considered, and when the right moment arrives, you step into your chance, carrying the power you've quietly gathered over years of watchful observation. Freedom, for you, is a puzzle, a code, a secret, unlocked by patience and cunning. And some rely on the bonds that remain unbroken. You sit close with someone you love, whispering plans because the walls have ears. Hands brush, knees touch, but it's not romance that drives this closeness. It is survival. One of you may have mobility the other doesn't. One may have access the other cannot reach. You strategize, negotiate, find openings, all while protecting each other from being torn apart. The love you feel is tangled with danger, and yet it becomes a tool, a lifeline, a pathway toward shared freedom. You imagine holding on to that person's hand as you step past fences, through darkness, into life beyond the system that tried to destroy you. You realize that survival sometimes meant blending in rather than running. You walk through a bustling city, cobbled streets slick with rain, the smell of roasting coffee and horse dung mixing in the air. Your clothes are plain, your head held low, your steps measured. Every face around you is both a threat and a potential ally. You move through the crowd, memorizing street corners, noting the direction of patrols, listening to conversations you're not supposed to hear. Every glance is a test. Every misstep could undo everything. And yet, in this chaos, you discover a strange truth. Freedom can hide in plain sight. Some enslaved people took freedom in the long shadows of the law. You imagine yourself entering a courthouse, the smell of dust and old ink thick in the air, the polished wood cold beneath your fingers. Every step is calculated, every word deliberate. You listen to arguments, memorize the rhythm of the judges, and when the moment comes, you speak. Perhaps it is a petition for manumission, a plea based on a broken promise, a challenge to an injustice. Your voice is small but deliberate, trembling at first, then steady as you claim what should have always been yours. You know the danger, any mistake, any hesitation, and your body could be dragged back into chains. But you also know that this is one of the few moments where knowledge and courage might bend the system. just enough for you to slip free. Some freed themselves by knowledge alone. Imagine sitting in a dim cabin, the embers of a fire casting shadows on the walls. You trace letters with your fingers, whispering words you've memorized. Maybe it's a scrap of newspaper, a stolen book, a hymn sung softly at night. Each sentence is a spark of defiance. Each new word a reminder that your mind cannot be enslaved, even if your body still bears chains. You memorize maps, notice patrol patterns, learn the currents of rivers and roads. You begin to understand the world in a way your enslavers never wanted you to. Freedom starts in the mind, and for some it is there first, long before their feet ever touch soil that is truly theirs. Then there are those who risked everything on rebellion. Imagine night pressing down on a quiet plantation. You and a group of others crouch low, hearts hammering in your chests. The smell of wet earth, sweat, and tension fills the air. Every noise, an owl hooting, a stick snapping underfoot, sets your nerves on fire. You move with purpose, whispers carrying instructions, plans that could end in death if discovered. But this is the only way to reclaim your body, to reclaim your life. You push through the fear, knowing that the smallest spark of defiance can ignite hope for everyone who comes after you. Even if the plan fails, even if it costs lives, the act itself becomes a statement that freedom cannot be chained. Some escaped with ingenuity that feels like magic. Picture yourself in the dense woods, weaving through trees and brambles, the moonlight barely piercing the canopy. You know every curve of the river, every hidden footpath, every fallen log that could give you cover. Your senses are heightened, the smell of wet moss, the scrape of bark under your fingers, the rustle of leaves as an unseen animal passes. Hours pass, yet you do not stop. You hide during the day, move at night, listening to distant voices, watching for any sign of danger. Each step is calculated, every pause a risk, and every moment is an exercise in trust, in your instincts, in the allies who guide you, in the network that exists just beyond the plantation gates. Freedom is a path measured not in distance, but in every choice made perfectly under pressure. Some found liberation in the sea. Imagine the salt in the air, the spray hitting your face, the wooden planks of a ship creaking beneath your weight. You hide among barrels or pose as a sailor, moving quietly, hearts pounding as the vessel carries you northward. The water smells of fish and tar and possibility. You hear the waves crashing, the ropes thudding with each adjustment, the murmured instructions of the crew who don't suspect your presence. Hours pass, days pass, and every small movement could be fatal if misread. And yet, as the shoreline of freedom grows closer, the ocean itself becomes a companion, guiding you past the grasping hands of bondage and into life you can call your own. Then there are those who created freedom by patience and cunning within the system. Imagine yourself entrusted with tasks no one else can do, moving through the spaces your enslaver never notices. You memorize schedules, learn the weaknesses of those who guard you, quietly store coins, quietly learn names, faces, and secrets. Every errand becomes a lesson, every favor becomes leverage, and you wait. You wait for the perfect moment when the opportunity to step into life is clear, and when it comes, you do not hesitate. You slip past gates, through fences, under moonlight, carrying with you everything you have learned, everything you have earned, every ounce of risk calculated. Freedom becomes the product of observation, skill, and patience honed to perfection. Some found liberation in alliances. You share whispered plans, concealed messages, and secret codes with people you trust, forming a web of support. Perhaps someone lends a boat, another a hidden attic, another knowledge of patrol schedules. The warmth of fire and human connection mixes with fear and hope as you navigate the next step of your journey. Every connection is precious. Every betrayal would be deadly. And yet, with careful trust, you inch closer to freedom, understanding that your life is intertwined with others who dare to defy the world with you. Others relied on disguise and performance. You adjust your posture, your clothes, your voice, your very mannerisms to appear someone else entirely. You travel through spaces where your presence would otherwise be fatal. Each word spoken, each gesture made must be flawless. One wrong movement could end everything. You feel the sun on your back, the scratch of fabric, the sweat beading on your forehead, and you keep walking, convincing strangers you are what you pretend to be. The risk is constant, the tension unbearable, yet every step moves you closer to the life you imagine in your dreams, the life you deserve. Some relied on sheer intellect. They memorized maps, routes, codes, and human patterns. They observed the schedules, the habits, the mistakes of those in power. They saved every detail in their minds, building a plan that could span weeks or months. Every scrap of knowledge was a tool, every observation a weapon, and when the moment arrived, they acted with precision, turning information into freedom, intellect into liberation. And in quiet moments, some freed themselves within. Even when their bodies were trapped, their minds soared. They learned, read secretly, taught each other what they knew, imagined lives beyond the plantation, and nurtured hope in ways invisible to their captors. That hope became a force stronger than chains. Because if the mind is free, the spirit is impossible to break. Each whispered lesson, each stolen book, each memory of what life could be became the first steps toward liberation, planting seeds that would one day grow into reality. And yet, even with all this planning, all this courage, some enslaved people knew that ordinary escape wasn't enough. Sometimes freedom demanded rebellion, the kind that thundered through the night and shook the earth itself. Imagine crouching in the shadows of a field, the smell of wet grass filling your nostrils, every muscle coiled with tension. You hear whispers, barely audible, and the distant bark of dogs somewhere beyond the trees. Your hands tremble from fear and anticipation. Every heartbeat echoes in your chest. You and a handful of others know that tonight someone will have to defy an entire system. The stakes are life and death, yet the idea of staying chained feels worse than any risk. You move quietly, deliberately, counting steps, listening, feeling the rhythm of the earth beneath your feet. When the first signal is given, you will act, knowing that each step could ignite hope or doom you forever. Some chose more subtle paths. You blend into the chaos of a city, moving through streets crowded with merchants, children, and strangers. Your feet hit cobblestones, rain slick and shiny under lantern light. You feel the brush of people passing, their smells mixing with yours. Bread, tobacco, sweat, wet wool. No one notices you. You learn which doors stay unlocked, which alleyways are safe, which faces to trust. You walk past freedom without even touching it yet, waiting, observing, learning until the perfect moment to slip into a life no one can take from you. Others put their lives into the hands of strangers. You step onto a ship, the boards creaking beneath your weight. Salt and tar mix with the smell of fish. Waves slap the hull, cold water spraying your face. You hide among barrels, trusting that the sailors will not notice your presence, that the currents will carry you northward, and that the people waiting at your destination will be true allies. Hours turn into days. Each lurch of the boat is a reminder of your fragility, each sound a potential threat. But the hope pressing in on your chest grows stronger than the fear. And when land appears at last, it tastes like the freedom you have fought so long to grasp. Some relied on ingenuity so brilliant it almost defies belief. Imagine being Henry Box Brown, climbing into a crate no larger than your body. The wood presses against your back, splinters biting into your skin. Air is thick, the chest feels tight, and every movement risks catastrophe. The crate is lifted, moved, jostled, rolled. Hours pass in stifling darkness. Outside, the world continues without you, oblivious to the human life enclosed inside. And yet, inch by inch, the crate carries you toward Philadelphia, toward people who will open it and release you into life. Every second is a test of endurance, of will, of faith in those who risked everything to help you. Some achieved freedom through disguise, through becoming someone else entirely. Picture Ellen Craft, her pale skin allowing her to pass as a white man, traveling with her husband posing as her servant. Every glance is a potential threat. Every gesture must be flawless. The sun beats down, the carriage jolts over stones, the horses clop rhythmically. Sweat drips from her brow, heart hammering, nerves stretched tight. One mistake, one slip, and the entire plan could unravel. And yet she holds her posture, controls her voice, measures every motion. Each mile traveled is a triumph, a careful negotiation with danger, until freedom is finally within reach. Some enslaved people turned patience and cunning into liberation. You are trusted more than you should be, carrying messages, memorizing routines, quietly stashing coins. Every favor, every extra errand becomes a tool. You study the schedules of guards, the habits of overseers, the weaknesses in every chain that binds you. Years of careful observation build a reservoir of knowledge and opportunity. Then, when the moment is right, you slip through a gate, over a fence, into night. Every heartbeat carries exhilaration and fear, but the work of patience and observation has paid off. Freedom is yours, born from subtlety and endurance rather than brute force. Some relied on alliances, weaving networks of trust and courage. You whisper plans to people you dare to trust. Coordinate movements. Share knowledge. One person lends a hiding place, another provides directions, another warns of danger ahead. Every link is precious, every betrayal potentially fatal. And yet, the human connection itself becomes part of the path to liberty. Freedom is not taken alone. It is shared, built with careful hands and hearts aligned toward one common goal. Others risked their minds and bodies in daring acts of defiance that seem almost impossible. Imagine walking silently through a plantation at night, moonlight brushing your face, the smell of damp leaves and earth in the air. Your eyes scan the horizon, your ears catch the smallest sound, the faint rustle of dogs in the distance, the creak of a door left ajar. You know every step could be your last in safety, yet you press forward, guided by intelligence, courage, and desperation. Freedom is a careful calculation, a combination of movement, observation, and intuition honed to perfection. Some freed themselves with subtle sabotage, using the very system that enslaved them as a tool. You weaken a wheel on a wagon, jam a millstone, leave a gate unlatched. Each act is small but deliberate, delaying patrols, creating openings, sowing confusion. Every failure is deadly, every success a lifeline. And when the chaos clears, you slip into spaces no one would have expected, using the disruption you created to vanish from bondage. Freedom here is born from ingenuity, courage, and the willingness to risk everything to reclaim life. And some freed themselves without moving at all, by claiming the only space that cannot be chained, the mind. Imagine sitting alone in a cabin, tracing letters with your fingers, memorizing words you're not supposed to know, dreaming of life beyond the fields and fences. You study maps, learn patterns, absorb news, teach others secretly. Every idea becomes a seed of rebellion, a spark that cannot be contained. Even when your body is trapped, your mind begins to stretch, to map a world where liberty exists. Knowledge becomes a weapon, imagination a vessel, hope a map, guiding you to life that no one can claim. In each of these paths, rebellion, escape, disguise, patient cunning, alliances, sabotage, mental freedom, you see the same thread, an unrelenting drive to live, to claim life on your own terms. Every risk, every step, every heartbeat mattered. Every choice could be fatal. Yet in the very act of choosing, enslaved people carved out possibilities, carved out life, carved out freedom. And if you imagine yourself in their place, the terror, the hope, the ingenuity, the exhaustion, it becomes almost impossible to imagine giving up. Could you have endured hours in a crate, miles through a forest, nights in hidden attics? Could you have maintained a disguise flawlessly under scrutiny, memorized every patrol pattern, risked every ounce of body and soul for a single chance at life? Could you have believed in freedom when it seemed impossible, when every system was designed to deny it? Because that is what they did. That is what freedom demanded. And in every whisper of courage, in every hidden path, in every daring act, they claimed it. And then there are those moments where freedom demanded not just courage, but a leap that seems almost impossible. Picture yourself at the edge of a river, the water dark and cold beneath the night sky. The current is strong, the banks slippery, the night alive with the distant howl of hounds. Every muscle in your body tenses, every breath sharp in your lungs. You have nowhere to go but forward. You dive in. The water swallows you, thrashes against your chest, chills your bones. Every stroke is a battle against fear and exhaustion. You fight the current with everything you have, pushing toward the opposite bank, toward a world that has been promised in whispers, in dreams, in prayers. And when you finally climb out, wet, shivering, gasping for air, you are alive and you are free. Some found freedom through the quiet defiance of intellect. Imagine sitting with a friend, secretly teaching letters, words, numbers, maps. The room is dark, the candle flame flickering and casting shadows on the walls. Each word learned is a small act of rebellion, a spark of independence. You whisper lessons in hushed tones, feel the tension in your chest each time someone outside might hear. And as knowledge spreads, so does power. Every person who learns, every mind that grows, carries a fragment of freedom within them, invisible to the ones who would chain it. Liberation starts here, in the mind, before the body ever moves. Others risked everything in dramatic flight. You are dressed as a sailor, climbing aboard a ship that will carry you north. The smell of salt and tar fills your nostrils, waves slap against the hull, and the night presses against you. One wrong move, one careless word, and you could be caught. But your heart pounds with exhilaration, every sense alive, every nerve alert. You move with precision, guided by fear and hope alike. And as the ship cuts through the dark water, miles away from the plantations that sought to own you, you feel a first glimmer of life that is yours alone. Some relied on alliances built from trust, the rare and precious kind that meant risking everything together. You whisper instructions in a cellar, feel the warmth of human presence beside you. Hear the rustle of blankets, the faint cough of a child hidden in straw. May every plan is a tightrope. Every shared secret could mean salvation or death. You follow the path laid out by those who have risked as much as you, and step by step, mile by mile, you move through danger into the embrace of freedom. Some achieved liberation in ways so daring they almost seem impossible to imagine. Picture the skill, the audacity, the precision of Ellen Craft, traveling as someone else entirely, controlling every gesture, every word, every glance. The sun beats down, the carriage rocks, the horses clop rhythmically, and each mile traveled is a victory born from courage, intelligence, and nerves stretched taut. And when she steps into the world beyond bondage, she carries with her a story of triumph that feels like magic, but is born entirely from determination, creativity, and willpower. Some freed themselves in silence, hiding among the familiar yet invisible, moving through the world while pretending to belong. Every footstep measured, every breath calculated, every glance anticipating danger. You walk past people who would never expect you to be anything but property, yet in your mind, you are already free. You carry a hidden map, coins, knowledge, and the burning belief that life belongs to you. Step by step, you carve space for yourself, claiming freedom even when the world is blind to it. And in all of these moments, you see the same truth. Freedom was never given. It was earned, claimed, stolen, imagined, and fought for. Every choice mattered. Every second was precious. Every heartbeat could tip the balance between life and chains. And yet, in the face of terror, exhaustion, hunger, and fear, enslaved people found a way to survive. And more than survive, to live. Now imagine all these stories intertwined. The rebel crouching in the field, the sailor on the deck, the crate-shipped man, the woman performing as someone else, the patient observer, the teacher of forbidden letters, the silent marcher through streets, the alliance of whispers. Each is a thread in a tapestry of courage so vast, so intricate, that it overwhelms the mind. And yet it is real. Every story happened. Every person risked everything, and some claimed it all. Freedom, life, dignity. And here's the hardest part to imagine. They did it without modern tools, without phones, without GPS, without widespread networks of law or protection. They relied on intuition, cunning, courage, alliances, observation, and sheer unbreakable will. Every footstep in the dark, every whispered secret, every bold move into danger was a gamble against death itself. And that's the lesson you carry with you when you imagine yourself in their place. Because you can feel it, can't you? The fear and hope mingling in your chest, the weight of the unknown pressing on you, the exhilaration of knowing that the next step might bring you into life rather than chains. That is what freedom demanded. That is what freedom looked like. So I want you to take a moment. Picture yourself in those shoes. Imagine walking through the forest at night, feeling the damp earth, listening for hounds, memorizing paths, calculating every heartbeat. Imagine climbing into crates, slipping onto ships, performing the perfect disguise, teaching letters in the dark, building networks of trust, and risking everything. Could you have done it? Could you have found courage in the fear, strategy in the chaos, hope in despair, and life in a world designed to take it from you? Because they did. And their triumph is not just history. It's a reminder for us today. Freedom is not a gift. It is created. It is fought for. It is claimed by those brave enough to see beyond the walls that bind them, beyond the fear that threatens to paralyze them, and beyond the rules designed to deny them life. And that is why their stories matter, because every time you hear them, you are reminded that courage is real, that ingenuity is real, that hope can carry you farther than fear ever could. You can pass it on, you can honor it, and you can learn from it. So here's what I want you to do. Comment below with the story that struck you most, the one that made your heart race, made you imagine yourself in those woods, on that ship, in that crate, or performing as someone else. Like this video if you're inspired by the courage and intelligence it took to claim life and freedom. Subscribe so you never miss these half-forgotten stories that remind us what humans are capable of when they refuse to be broken. Because every one of these paths, every daring escape, every act of mental rebellion, every calculated risk, every whispered lesson, every stolen step into life was a step toward the most sacred right of all, to live, to breathe, to be free. And that, more than anything else, is worth remembering. Thank you for watching this video. If you'd like to watch another fascinating video like this, click on one of the boxes on your screen right now.